Hello. Today we will be looking at ratios and proportions. A ratio is a comparison of two quantities. For example, for every 16 children, there are 3 pizza pies. I can write a ratio 3 different ways. I can use the word 2, 16 to 3. I can use a colon, 16 to 3. I can write it as a fraction, 16 over 3. A proportion is an equation stating that two ratios are equal. For example, 1/2 equals 4/8. I know that if I reduce 4/8, 1/2 equals 1/2. This is a proportion that states that 1/2 and 4/8 are equal. When setting up proportions, it is very important to pay attention to the given units or to corresponding sides. Today, we will be working with corresponding sides. Corresponding sides are sides on similar figures that have the same position on both figures. Let's look at our figure. In this case, corresponding sides would be the side length of 5 and x. This is because they are both the shorter side of the rectangle. The sides with a side length of 3 and 12 are also corresponding sides because they are both the longer side of the rectangle. They are in the same position in both figures. I see that I have a variable that I must solve for. In order to do this, I am going to set up a proportion. Remember, my proportion has to follow some sort of pattern when setting it up. To start, I am going to set up my proportion as short side over long side. Therefore, I can write it as 5 over 3, short side over long side, equals x over 12, short side over long side. To solve this proportion, I'm going to cross multiply. 3x equals 5 times 12 is 60. I divide both sides by 3 to get the variable by itself, and x is equal to 20. Another way I can set up my proportion is long side over short side. Therefore, my proportion would now be 3 over 5 equals 12 over x. Again, I'm going to cross multiply. And I see that x is again equal to 20. Another way I can set up my proportion is short side over short side and long side over long side. For example, 5 over x is the short side of the first rectangle over the short side of the second rectangle, equals, now since I started with the first rectangle on the top, I'm going to put the long side of the first rectangle on the top and the long side of the second rectangle on the bottom. And again, I can cross multiply, and you see that I get an answer of 20. Therefore, there are several ways that you can set up your proportion for this rectangle as long as you are following a pattern. Another way that I can solve for the missing variable is using a method called scaling or scale factor. I see that to get from 3 to 12, again because these are corresponding sides, I can multiply 3 by 4. 3 times 4 equals 12. If I multiply one side of my rectangle by 4, and I know that my rectangles are similar, I can multiply the other side of the rectangle by 4. And 5 times 4 is equal to 20. Therefore, the missing side of this rectangle, x, is equal to 20. Please remember that you can reference this video throughout the unit anytime that you need.